So in the last section, we animated our posts. In this section, we'll animate our comments. So currently, if we click on a post, we can see the associated comments, and we can also type in a comment and then hit submit. We're then redirected to the main forum, and if we click on that post again, we see that our comment is there. So the full stack submitting of our comment is working, but let's make it so the comment appears automatically here. And we'll do a similar fade-in transition. So let's go back to our code and then go to the show post component, because it is here where we render our comments. So let's first start by setting an opacity property to 0. And we're going to be animating our comments in a similar way to animating our post, because there's no reason to reinvent the wheel here. But there are going to be some differences, however. So let's start with the handle transition function, which will again change the opacity to 1 after a set timeout. And this is the exact same thing we saw when animating our posts. So set timeout, and then inside we have an arrow function that calls the set state function, and it just changes our opacity to 1. Then after that, we can have a add comments to state function, which again, this is very similar to adding post to state, which we saw in the last section. And if you didn't see the last section, the spread operator, which is a ... just means we flatten the array. So we don't have an array within an array. Then in our axios.get request, after our first .then statement, we can declare another .then statement, and then we can do this .add comments to state, which is the function we just set up. Then we pass in this.props.comments as a argument. And remember, this.props.comment is coming from our map state to props function, which is getting our comments from the Redux state. Then we have our two pieces of local state, comments are, which is the array of comments, and then comments motion, which will animate each comment. And now we can set up our animate comments function, which is going to be in the exact same way that we set up the animate post function. So just declare arrow function with curly brackets, and then let I equals 1, and then this.state.comments are .map, and then comment, then the curly brackets, and then we do a set timeout, and we set the state, and we set post motion to the spread operator, which flattens the array, and then comma, and then comment. And now we can call our handle transition function from within our component didMount lifecycle method after the .catch call. And we can also call our animate comments function right after our set state call in the add comments to state function. Then we can go in our render method, and similar to animating posts, we have to call the map function on comments motion instead of the regular comments array. And we can also define a style prop to the div, and then set opacity to this.state.opacity, and then we can have the same transition as the post as well. So now we can test and see what our app looks like. So let's go in our forum and then click on a post. So we do see that our comments are animating. So this is somewhat working, but we do have a few problems. For example, when we submit a comment, we are actually redirected to the forum, and our newly submitted comment does not automatically animate. And when we delete a comment, we're similarly redirected to the forum. So let's take care of these few problems. Let's also animate each new submitted comment as well. So back in our code, we can declare 3 new functions to help us with this. We can do handle comment submit, handle comment update, and handle comment delete. And each of these functions will be counterparts of their full stack functions. So the handle comment submit function will be the counterpart to the handle submit function. Because remember, the handle submit function makes a HTTP request with Axios. And this handle comment submit function is going to handle submitting a comment on our front end only. And this is the same with handle update and handle delete as well. And to keep our function naming scheme consistent, let's go to the handle delete comment and then just delete the comment word at the end. And this will make it recognizable as the Axios request. And this means we'll also have to change it in the dialog box as well. So let's get started with our handle comment submit function. So first we have to pass in submitted comment as the argument to this function. And remember, this is going to be separate from our Axios handle submit function that we have, which saves our comment to the database. And we want this to be very speedy and instantaneous. So we're not going to retrieve that same comment from the database right after a user submits it. So what we do is we both submit it for saving in our database, and we also have another function that just saves it to the UI, so it can be instantly animated and show up to the user screen. So first, inside of our function, we do a set timeout, and then we do set state comments motion, and then the submitted comment is going to be added to the comments motion array. And the submitted comment has to be first before you do the spread operator with this.state.comments motion. This will put the comment at the very top, which makes sense because it was just submitted, and that's what you want to happen. And this is seen in many other forums and comment systems as well, such as YouTube. When you submit a comment on YouTube, it's submitted to the top. So having submitted comment first before the spread operator ensures this will happen. And again, we're adding it to our comments motion because this is what gets animated. And if you remember from our render method, the comments motion array is what we're using in our render method, and we're calling .map on it and rendering each comment in the comments motion array. So adding the submitted comment to our comments motion array automatically animates it and adds it to the user interface. And now the question is, well, where's the submitted comment coming from? And it's coming from our HandleSubmit function, which again makes the Axios request to save the comment to our database. So we're going to both save the comment to the database, and we're going to use that same comment here in the HandleSubmit comment function. And how we do that is first we go to our HandleSubmit function, and let's refactor and restructure our code a little bit to make it look nicer. And let's also make a const of comment, which will save event.target.comment.value. Then we can just set comment to comment in our data const. And again, this will make our code much better looking. And now here in the HandleSubmit function, we can create our submitted comment const. And this is going to be the same submitted comment that we pass into the HandleSubmit comment function, HandleCommentSubmit function. And we'll first start off with a CID or comment ID, and we'll set it to actually a random number. So again, in a real app, you'd probably want to use math.random and then randomize the temp ID. But the purpose behind this is, well, this is just to render the comment to the UI. We don't care what the CID, this comment ID is. We only care about it when it's being submitted to our database and being retrieved from our database. But this is just temporary. We're just saving it to the UI, so we need a temporary ID. And so we can just supply it with a random number. And again, for brevity, I'll just write a random number here instead of doing math.random. And then for comment, we'll just have the comment user ID and username will both be the same. And then for date created, we'll actually just do just now as a string. Because remember, our date created is actually created by PSQL. And since we're just submitting the comment here, we can just use a string, which would actually be a more accurate description as well. Then we want to call our HandleCommentSubmit function at the very bottom, and we'll pass in this submitted comment const we just created. And we don't want to redirect the user back to the forum when they submit a comment. So let's get rid of the history.replace call, and we'll replace it with window.scroll, and we'll do top 0, left 0, and then behavior smooth. So this will basically scroll the user's view back up to the very top, and behavior smooth will make sure it's done basically smoothly instead of just instantaneous, which doesn't look as nice. And that's really it for the HandleCommentSubmit function. Let's now work on HandleCommentUpdate. So we'll first pass in a comment as an argument. Then we have to think a little bit about how we're going to do this. So the comment we want to animate is already in the comments motion array. So the very first thing we have to do is find the index of where it's at. So we can do this and save it in a const called commentIndex, and it will be equal to this.commentsMotion.findIndex, and then comments, and then inside of the findIndex function we do com arrow function, and then com.cid equals comment.cid. So we're trying to match the CID of the comment ID. And again, this will give us our index, which we can then use to edit the array. And next we need to create a new array, and we'll call it let new r, and then equal to the spread operator, this.state.commentsMotion. And then we use the comment index that we saved in the first line, and we use that index and set it to the new comment. So now we have a updated array with the new comment. and the other comments are all the same in this new array. Then we can simply just make our comments motion array this new array with the new updated comment. And then let's just go in our HandleSubmit and then set the state to comment to an empty string, and this resets the string whenever a user submits a comment, and this will ensure that our updated comment will work properly. And let's go in our handle update function and then restructure the code a little bit to make it look nicer. And then we can create a new const of edited comment, and then we do CID equals CID, comment equals comment, post ID, user ID, and author are all the same. And similar to the submitted comment, we can do date created of just now. And then we also add a new property called isEdited, and we'll set it to true. So this is going to be similar to YouTube system where it shows you if a comment was edited or not. And then at the bottom, we just pass in the edited comment to the handle comment change function. And now we can go over the handle comment delete function, and we'll need the comment ID to delete the comment. And also in the code block, we'll do this.setState and then save the delete comment ID to the local state. And let's create that property now. And then back in our handle comment delete function, we can just set delete comment ID to CID. And then on the next line, we're going to create a new array. Then we're going to filter that array for everything that does not match the comment ID we want to delete. So we'll essentially create a new array that does not include the deleted comment. And again, we'll do this with the dot filter on our comments motion array. And then we can do a set timeout and then set our comments motion array to this new array. And then let's now go to our handle delete function and then get rid of the history.replace call. And then here we can just call our this.handle delete comment function and then pass in the comment ID. And just quickly here in our HandleSubmit function, make sure to wrap the parentheses of window.scroll to in curly brackets. And also, instead of the string of just underscore now, we can just make it just now. And here in our handle comment submit function, we are missing a parentheses. So we can just add a parentheses after the 50 milliseconds. And to help us with our animations, we'll also be making use of keyframes like we did with the post animation. So let's go to app.css. And here we can create a comment styles class. And then first we'll set our opacity to 1. And we'll actually just use the same fade in animation that we did for posts. We don't have to create another animation. And we'll keep the timing function and duration the same as well. And let's create another keyframe that we'll use to fade out a comment after it's been deleted. So let's copy and paste the code from the fade in keyframe and then just change the name to fade out. And since this is a fade out animation, we'll actually start at 0% with 1 opacity, and then 100% will actually go to 0. And the width and the height will also go to 0 as well. So it will really look like the comment is fading out completely. And now we have to actually use this keyframe in a class. So we'll just do a .fadeOut comment class and then pass in our fade out animation here. Now let's go back to our show post component and then use these styles we just created. So essentially how we're going to do this is we're going to use a Turner expression. And what we're going to do in our render comments functional component is compare the delete comment ID to the specific comment ID of each comment. If the delete ID comment matches the comment, we're going to apply a fade out comment styles. If not, we just apply the regular comment styles. And again, this will make sure that if a comment is deleted, the correct styling is applied. And now let's work on the date created. We can also do a ternary expression here as well. So if true, if the comment is edited, we can just display the text of edited, or we can just display just now. And if the comment is not edited, we can just display the date created. All right, and let's just look through our app. And in the handle comment update, remember to add this.state.comments motion. And we were missing the state keyword there. And in our app.css file, let's add linear to the animation timing function. And in our render comments functional component, let's add just now to the Turner expression condition of comment.date created. And this is just saying if the date created equals just now, then we can also check if it was edited as well. And if it was just now and it was edited, then we would display edited. If it was just now and it was not edited, we would just display just now. So it's a ternary expression nested inside of a ternary expression. And now we can save and test our app. So let's first log in. And so far so good. And our comments do seem to be animating, but let's check a submit. And yes, perfect. Our newly submitted comment is being animated as expected at the top. And we are seeing just now as well. And let's try to edit. And yes, perfect. If we edit, we are seeing the new text and it's displaying is edited. And finally, let's delete. And yes, if we delete, it is being faded out and animated out. And perfect, we have all the animations we need for our comments. Awesome.